Welcome back. Here's something we're pretty sure we know. Beto O'Rourke is going to run for president. And here's something we're pretty sure we don't know. What does a Beto O'Rourke candidacy actually look like? NBC News reports the former Texas congressman does plan to announce his decision on a run before the end of the month. That's this month. And to give you a sense of which way he may be leaning, he's headed to Iowa this weekend. Ask IR Democrats about Beto O'Rourke, and they'll tell you he's the guy who almost took down Ted Cruz. But ask them what he stands for, and they might tell you, well, he's the guy who almost took down Ted Cruz. Anyway, you get our point here. Joining me now is Abby Livingston. She's the Washington bureau chief for the Texas Tribune and has spent a ton of time covering Beto O'Rourke, not just during the campaign, but his entire run in Congress. And my MSNBC colleague Garrett Haake, he's one of the people behind our reporting crew on O'Rourke today and was down with him during the campaign. So first of all, Garrett, where are we? What can you tell us about this campaign to be? How close is he?
They're still putting the pieces together. I mean, his mind is made up. He made up his mind before the end of February. They're taking all the steps that you would take to get to this point. They've reactivated their email list. He's got these Facebook ads now trying to get people to be the first to know about his new announcement. And I think when they are ready to make that announcement, they will. But they are building this campaign from scratch. He's gotten a lot of flack for his, sojourn on the road and all that after the loss, but they just didn't have the pieces in place.
This is about putting the campaign together, and when it's ready to go, then he announces type of thing?
When it's ready to go, it'll go. I mean, this is somebody who, when he announced his Senate campaign on the last day of the fundraising quarter for the Senate campaign, so they're not really tied up in the deadlines. They want to go when they're ready to go.
Abby, like I said, you've been watching him for 6 years, not just 6 months, not just 2 years. Is this his MO?
Pretty much. Okay. I mean, what I would say is the Senate campaign, he broke all the rules of politics, and that's part of why he did so well. And so I think that one of the best strengths he's going to bring is this guy did a stump speech over and over and over across the entire state of Texas.
One?
I mean, it was pretty, it would change some, but all presidential candidates, it develops. It's a growth process.
Some develop it, but Trump rewrote that. Trump and Sanders rewrote that. They ad-libbed more.
Fair. But what I would say is one of the spots to watch is when the debates start. He debated Ted Cruz, Cruz has been doing this since he was 14 years old. It was one of O'Rourke's weaker moments. And so I think that's the key moment that I'm going to be watching for is the debates when they start.
All right. What lane do you put him in, right? You know what we're doing here, right? Is he this progressive? Is he a true blue progressive? He seems to be a record that could prove he's a centrist. There's words that make him seem like a progressive. What is he? Who is he?
I think he's right now what people want to see. It reminds me of Obama 07. It is that charisma. And there is a lot of charisma lacking on this campaign right now. And so it'll be really interesting. I mean, you can feel the ground shake as he comes in a way that was different from previous candidates entering.
Garrett, did you feel like you were covering a presidential when you went down there? I mean, I got the sense that you were even, you'd heard the hype and you went, wow, all right. You were skeptical,
Texas,
yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing about the
You're
idea
a Dallas
that
boy,
Texas
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I went to SVU. I was hearing the idea that somebody was going to turn Texas blue my entire sort of political life.
Right.
And I didn't believe it, but the second day I was down there, sort of in the lead up to Election Day, they had a rally in Lubbock, Texas, home of Texas Tech, about as red as it gets. And there was 1,500 people there. And, it was who you would expect, mostly younger people and things like that. But it's like, okay, this guy can draw a crowd. He can get a room. He is not specific. He is a bit of a cipher, and I'm with Abby on this. I mean, I think when he has to start talking about specifics on policy is when he's going to trip. But he also has the advantage of not having a day job. He can be working retail, which is what he does best day after day.
Tell us a little bit about him. There's a reason he doesn't have to have a day job right now. What is that reason?
Well, he's extremely wealthy. Yeah. He comes from a very well-known political family in El Paso. His father was a judge, and he inherited some property, and he's wealthy independently. But his her father was kind of a real pioneer in the real estate commercial business. Jones Lang and LaSalle, he started that company.
Does that mean Mr. Trump may know Mr. O'Rourke's father-in-law pretty well, considering they're in that real estate world together?
Well, I've actually been doing some research on this, and his father-in-law is a Republican donor from years past. So it goes to about Mitt Romney, and then it started to tail off. So it's an interesting family.
Who do you think Beto's the biggest threat to? You were on one of our embeds a couple cycles ago. You've been on. You know these guys. You've seen them. Who should fear him the most?
anybody who needs television coverage to survive. I mean, I think he can play the.
So that's a Cory Booker, for instance.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, look, he can play the young Bernie sort of style here, although Bernie's people are, I think, more committed. But if you're anybody who's operating at like 2 or 3% in the polls and you're not a star, why? What are you holding on to? And if you've got Beto sort of sucking all those people away, if you're Cory Booker or Kirsten Gillibrand or Eric Swalwell or any of these sort of other young people who want to say, I'm an up-and-coming star, is your star that bright?
I have a semi-simplistic view, and you tell me, Abby, if this is too simplistic, that the polls say Bernie and Biden are the front runners. But like lurking underneath are Beto and Kamala. Kamala Harris, the California senator. Kamala, say, in the Bernie lane a little bit, maybe just it's a little further into the center. And Beto is sort of the Biden. If you think Biden's too old, but you like that style, you'll go with Beto.
I mean, I think that's an interesting thing. What amazes me is just the disparity in the polling right now between the top two and the rest of them. And, I would normally say this won't hold, but I just keep thinking back to 4 years ago with the Trump and the Republican primary. And so.
Don't worry. If Trump's the nominee, he'll never win. Republicans have told me that forever.
Scott Walker's going to crush
Scott Walker is going to be the nominee. I mean.
So I just watch what I predict these days because I don't want this playing in 2 years.
Well, I have you here. Who would be the best Senate candidate against John Cornyn? Is it Beto? Is it Julian? Or is it Joaquin? Referring to the two Castro brothers.
I'm actually going to I think O'Rourke.
Or is it MJ Hagar?
I was going to say O'Rourke probably would be the best. Okay. And that was a disappointment across the state of Texas that he did not choose that. I think you should watch MJ Hagar. She was a fundraising juggernaut based on a single video. And so we will see, but that's not taking away from the Castros or anyone else. But I think she is one to watch.
What happens to Julian's campaign? How much do they share Texas donors? Is the Texas Democratic community all in on Beto to the point of it damages Julian or not?
Julian's got deeper roots in that community, but Beto is also less reliant on the donor community or on any kind of structure. I mean, he forewent having Democratic structural support in the Senate campaign almost on purpose. That's one of the things he's got to make up for now. Who is this guy? He didn't want Democratic support when he ran for Senate. Now he's got to try to run to be the face of the party.
Help me with Julian was the star the party was waiting for, right?
Texas is so big. He was from San Antonio. That's one media market out of 20-something.
Not an insignificant media market, though.
But I will throw you a curveball.
Yeah.
The candidate with the biggest bundlers in Texas with support is not either one of them.
Oh,
Kirsten Gillibrand.
It's interesting. How's that candidacy going? Abby Levinson, Garrett Haake. Texas, relevant. You guys
I like
ready
it.
for this your whole adult lives. Anyway, thank you both.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.